Hiya, I'm Whiley. Welcome to another instalment of the show that likes to get frisky in the public convenience of pop. In the house tonight and sitting extremely comfortably, my three expectant chums. We have Edwyn, hiya.
Hello.
Zoe.
Hi.
And you thought punk was dead. Wielding the new Mohican, Jason Donovan.
Trying, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming, all of you. Now, our Chumbawamba, Cool Britannia's worst nightmare, our Cleopatra, the real sound of young Manchester today, and a Radiohead, the 90s answer to Pink Floyd. We'll try and hammer out the real deal over the next 45 minutes. But before all that, here's an urgent news flash. We have some children of the 80s in the studio tonight. Jason, Simple Minds, did they mean anything to you?
Yeah, totally. They meant sort of the 80s.
Well, you like them?
I don't know how to define them and how to put it into sort of words.
Pop rock, I think that's the phrase.
Yeah.
So
I was probably 19, 18, and I think that's a very influential age for a human being.
Do you ever get embarrassed when you look back to your 80s days, the bouffant, the blow dry?
The mullet.
The mullet. Are you just jealous of those then?
I never regret in my life, you know. I'm so lucky as a human being to be doing something I'm passionate about.
This is the act talker.
No, well, maybe you're right, but I'll stand up for it because that's what I believe in.
Yeah.
Talking about the Prince's Trust, do you do a lot of work for charity?
The funny thing is about charity is it starts off as a lot of good work for charity, and then you get this process of kind of delineation where if you're on a bill, you've still got to be bottom of the bill even though you're doing a lot of good work for charity. So it's all about, promoting the individual artist's career, inevitably.
Yeah. Have you ever opened a fate?
I've never. What I've done is,
I bet you're old school.
I tell you a lie. What I have done is, my son is at Salisbury Road Primary School, and what I have done is done a discotheque for Salisbury Road Primary School. What I've got my little quad 303 amplifier in the corner, these Electro voice speakers, and some of the older participants, because believe it or not, I am a young parent, they go, Edwyn, turn that noise down, it's terrible.
What were you playing?
Well, I thought, it's mostly parents that are going to be here, so what do you have to play? Of course, you have to play Chic, don't you?
So, that's fine. Zoe, what about you? Do you go to all these charity functions?
To be honest with you, no. I mean, I do sort of my bit for but I've never actually been to any of the charity music ones. I was asked to present one, and I just thought they're always incredidly disorganised.
You were working with the Spice Girls over the last weekend.
Yeah.
They're always at Highgrove, aren't they? You can just imagine like Williams going, Dad, don't I really want to meet Posh? And he just like makes the phone call and the Spice Girls are in their helicopter.
They do, and they go. I love the fact that they've been shopping when you see they had the little shopping bags.
Yeah.
They bought shortbread from Highgrove. They must have a little shop there. It's so bizarre.
You must have done some Royal Variety shows in the past.
I
remember you doing that.
Do you?
Yeah, God.
What were they
Which
like?
was it especially for you?
Yeah, something like that.
What are they like doing?
Royal.
Very royal.
Very royal.
Who did you meet? Which ones did you meet?
Princess Margaret.
Did you?
What's
she like?
Well, she came in the toilets with me and we were hanging out for ages, but it's...
Well, really?
No, not really.
Jason, how can you have gone from this thing that, you're Jason Donovan, you're Scott Robinson, you're Mr. Pop, you've got the, lovely blonde haircut, you're the son-in-law that every mother would like to have. And all of a sudden, you're Mr. Naughty.
But
that's not pop. That's not showbiz.
No, but was that
that is because that's me. Yeah. And I think the exterior of pop. If you're I go to passion all the time because I go into a studio and. I started more on the basis that I come from a background of family that's been in entertainment for a long time. My father was an actor, but I discovered music from my experiences with PWL, and I know you might go music ? No,
I don't.
It has its place.
You get me wrong. I don't think there's any idea like one artist is more credible than another. Often it comes down to marketing. I think you had a brilliant showbiz career. To a certain extent, the showbiz people would have said you trashed it.
Sure.
Yeah.
And probably I did. And I did that probably.
What was going on for you then?
Because I wanted to have a life. I wanted to make mistakes.
But was it killing you having to be this character?
I worked in a studio. And this is I worked out of it once, right? And in PWL days, it was very disciplined. No smoking a joint, no chopping up or whatever you might want to say in the studio. It was very disciplined, and for me to 26 or 27, it was like that. It was work. I'm not advocating the use of drugs or the use of alcohol in pop, but the mistake value. Make mistakes.
Is that something you would love to do? Or you can identify with what Jason's saying, like having to be this
I can understand
clean.
I can understand what you mean, because the thing is that you do have to watch how you behave, and it's like with someone like Robbie Williams. You know, you're in a strict regime. You know, you're working blah 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 blah. I don't think it's quite so bad for me because I do my TV show and I go home. But like, you know, when you go to festivals and stuff, you know, and everyone's hanging out, and people are kind of watching you, and you can see photographers watching you to step out of line. You know, if you have a cigarette, so people say, "Oh my God, she smokes." But I would never smoke. It's like, you know, smoking on a TV show. You know, I can't really do that because, you know, kids see it. It is really bad for them to, you know.
But in a way, it's good for you because you've been sort of born into a different time. You know, a time where, you know, you had the Britpop thing, and in a way, the height of your fame was pre-Britpop. Exactly.
And
it's a bit more rock and roll, and you were expected. You're expected to be, you know, the ladette and be crazy, and you are too, Joe, to a certain extent.
But I think the thing with Jason also,
but Jason,
is the
he was pre
as well.
Yeah,
exactly. It's like, why can't he go do what he wants?
We'll continue the real conversations. We'll move to Radiohead now, though. This week, the release of Radiohead's 7 television commercials, a masterpiece that was Radiohead, Full Frontal and Exposed. So, Zoe, Q readers voted OK Computer as the greatest album of all time. Do you agree or disagree?
I wouldn't agree with greatest album of all time, and I don't think they would either. I think I do think it's a superb album, and I am a huge fan. I think they're positively orchestral brilliance. I love them.
What about when you watch the videos?
Their videos have always been real talking points, I think, because they really do sort of, you know, get your mind working and stuff. And I think they, you know, I don't know who makes the videos, but they're all very brilliant, and they all leave you thinking, why, how? And in fact, when I watched them, I was watching them with some friends, and everybody went, what? And it's like, well,
that's
why?
The point. I think what they do with a lot of their songs is they go to directors who haven't done stuff before or are not known, and they just say, like, interpret our songs, and we want to be surprised by what we see. And that's what happens. That's what comes up.
That thing with their videos where you do walk away thinking, I don't quite understand, is probably quite imbalanced with some of their songs. I really enjoy them, and I've seen them probably live more than any other band I think I've ever seen. In fact, at one gig I did actually cry. I did have tears running down my face.
Jason, what do Radiohead mean to you? You fan?
Radiohead meant, what's that song that said fuck in it, basically? Sorry, I'm sorry.
Creep, that would be the one.
Yeah, that's what it meant to me, honestly. It was honest. Honesty. High and dry, you know, which is what it is sometimes. It is the 90s expression of what we were just talking about then, about people throwing their lives out and saying, this is me, this is how I'm dealing with it.
You take it or you leave it.
Or don't. Leave it.
Are you still making music? Is that something you want to do with your music as opposed to,
yes, definitely,
you know, what you've done in the past?
It's a passion, and it's something that I've now got a little room in my house where I don't have record companies, or I don't have anyone on my back,
or water,
and I can watch the sky move and spend 4 days watching it move and write about it. You know, there was a time in my life when I couldn't do that, and I didn't write. But this is what, again, going back to pop, I discovered music in that 6 or 7 years. Now, I was thrown into pop without very much experience, on the back of almost Kylie Minogue's Locomotion, you know. This is the next guy.
Yeah, presumably you have to talk about Kylie Minogue. Do you follow her career? Have you kind of watched what she's been doing? And her kind of venture with the latest album into doing some indie stuff and being a bit different? What do you think of that?
It hasn't worked, I don't think.
Have you spoken to her about it?
No, we don't speak often, but we speak enough to say we're mates, you know.
You are friends, yeah.
We had a relationship for 4 years, so I think that will be strong.
Romantic relationship.
Did you snog? Did you go out?
Oh, well, for 4 years, yeah.
Should we have got Radiohead then next? What do you think of Radiohead?
Well, I mean, the funny thing is, initially, you know, the journals refused to recognise that band, you know. They were slagging them off until they, even actually, not until, even after they had the success with Creep in America.
Creep, that was the one I was looking for,
and the funny thing is, with Tom York, they always say, they speculate, they say, this guy's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? And basically, he's not a very good communicator.
Except for his music.
Exactly.
Boom, boom.
You took the words right out of my mouth, Joe. Must have been when you were kissing me.
Great line. Great line. Great line.
That was strictly off camera.
No, but basically, people believe Radiohead, don't they? Because they're completely convincing, you know. Because his music works on a metaphysical level, and he has this kind of intensity that communicates, you know, and people love it, you know.
I want to say something. I think as learning about songwriting, as a new person in the songwriting field, the pessimism and the emotional thing that you spurt out onto a microphone comes at points in your life when sometimes you aren't together, sometimes you aren't the perfect picture. Absolutely.
Did that cue thing come as a surprise to you?
I'd never even given it a second thought, and then, funnily enough, I had a little bit of a dinner party, and there was a Q journalist who shall remain nameless there. And he said, we were absolutely flabbergasted, because all of a sudden we had this poll, and all of a sudden it was like the Labour landslide, the election victory. And then we realised they'd done all this sort of brown-nosed sycophancy towards Oasis, and they better sort of deflect that onto Radiohead. But
is it not just timing with those polls? Is it not just like if an album comes in suddenly, it's the one that everyone's thinking of?
Possibly could be. But the interesting thing is when journalists and A&R people and, you know, music people, business people in general think they're controlling things, when all of a sudden the public puts its collective hands up and says, no, we disagree, this is what we think.
And that's the way it should be, really. Okay, we'll take a break there. It's time now for some hum. For real, or are they? Jason, Dan but no bacon, did it impress you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an anthem for the World Cup, and I can see all the elements of an A&R guy walking in saying, this is what we'd like, and
so are they cashing in? Are they being opportunists?
I think in that particular song, yeah, definitely.
I'm a paedophile. I like injecting smack. I'm crazy. I'm completely mental. I get a box of cornflakes. I sprinkle some heroin on it. It's delicious. It's totally delicious.
Do they annoy you intensely?
They don't, no, because I met them. They come from sort of my generation, and they've made a sort of art out of agitprop, you know.
Yep.
One thing they did was the Leah Betts campaign. When the Leah Betts thing was sorted, they said distorted. Yep. And I thought that's a fantastic piece of agitprop for what it's worth. And I can remember meeting them in Munich airport, and that was superb because the drummer, who had a strange sort of leopard skin crop, came up to me and he says, Edwyn, that was a fantastic lottery show appearance. He said, could you sign this could you sign this autograph for my girlfriend? I said, of course I could. Then I went on the Lufthansa plane, and I was absolutely appalled, because what did I see as I was going to economy class? But Chumbawamba in business class.
Really? Did you tell them?
And I said, bloody anarchist man in business class. And they were going, yeah. Up the workers.
What was their defence?
Up the workers.
We deserve to be
here. Up the workers, can you believe it?
What do you make of Chumbawamba?
They're really nice people. I met Dambert and I met a few of them at the Brits, and they're lovely. But
you didn't seem that keen on that record when it was going on.
I can't stand it. I hate their music, and you know, I just find it horrendous. The worst thing about it is, and I'm sure she's a great woman, is the woman singing, "Oh, Danny boy." She sounds like that child. And you ever seen that film, Peter Greenaway film, The Cook, the Thief, the Wife, and Love of the Little Boy, going, "Oh, la, la, la." Sounds like that. Oh, goodness me! If she didn't sing, maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
What did you think of what they did at the Brits?
I didn't really care, to be honest with you. I just kind of ignored it all.
Okay, Manchester teen sensations Cleopatra burst out of Moss Side in February with their debut single Cleopatra's Theme. The trio are young, rich, and now they've been snapped up by Madonna's maverick imprint, but their mother appears at their side everywhere they go. Cleopatra, well-known four-piece. Edwyn, are they perfect pop or just clever marketing, do you think?
What have the marketing men done? Well, for a start, they've gotten the token Asian guy and all the rest of it. They've got the manga sort of comic book thing coming in, because of course they have to sell Cleopatra records in Japan.
Of course.
To make the
bucks.
Yeah, exactly. You've said it. They said, funny would could find a group that were kind of like Hanson, you know, 3 white brothers, but let's have 3 black girl sisters from Moss Side, Manchester. Maybe that would work too.
Because they do make a lot of money, don't they? Yeah. It's like the boy bands, there are so many of them, and but sometimes you feel like, I mean, I meet so many of them, and you feel like saying, love, you know, you're not pretty, the music's terrible, give up now. But at least with these 3 girls, you know, they're 3 sisters, they could sing, you know.
Do you think the songs are good?
Well, I think the songs could be a bit better, actually, because they can't really sing. I think they need to find better songwriters.
I mean, look at him.
About that,
he's no longer Scott Robinson.
Sure.
Yeah.
I think so. I hope so.
And Mummy
do you have flashbacks sometimes when you are?
Scott Robinson? Yeah. Only when I watched Lost in Space. Because there was a character called Scott Robinson.
You've talked in the past about how musicians and pop stars have responsibility in the way that they behave and the way that they act. And you've talked about the attitude that Oasis have had. And what was it about them that have particularly disappointed you or annoyed you in the past?
Well, if we're going to Michael Hutchence, which is where we're going, I assume, I just felt that at the Brit Awards, I think that was out of line.
This was their comments about Michael being...
I think that
has been, was it?
Yeah, I mean, we can all have our opinions. We can all have certain valuations on life. We can all ride a wave. But if we don't realise that there's a coral underneath us sometimes, we mightn't ride it as high as we do. We might actually plan how to work the wave and, you know, come back and sit back on it. My opinion is, be careful, mate, because I tell you, you will be down the bottom one day, and I'll be saying to you, you're a has-been as well. Now, how will that feel on you when you're sitting up there giving the award and not accepting it? That's all I say.
Okay. Coming up in a couple of minutes' time, we have Company Flow getting on the mic, but first we probe the bittersweet emotional awakening of St Etienne singer Sarah Cracknell. What song always reminds you of your first love? Verge of an emotional breakdown, Sarah Cracknell. It's time to come out of the closet. Music-wise, for me, it was 3 Degrees, A Woman in Love, Blue Vinyl. His name was Ian Pragnell. It's completely unrequited. Edwyn, what song evokes romantic memories for you?
Well, I remember, it wasn't so much romantic. I was a hardcore glam rocker. And I remember bouncing up and down on this, what do you call these things?
Trampoline.
Trampolines, exactly. Anyway, I was bouncing up and down, and the song on the jukebox was, "It's a driving Saturday." And I thought, something's
missing.
Sexy about this. Oh, missing, yeah. Something missing about
More
this.
to the point.
Anyway,
okay, so that's your song. Zoe, you're 15, you're snogging behind the bike sheds. What was the song? What was the soundtrack?
Mine was really bad, actually. I think they all are when you think back to them. But boys never have them. You notice boys don't...
No, that is a classic, isn't it? It's like, oh, I can't... There wasn't a girl and it wasn't romantic either.
Exactly. And mine was similar to yours in that it was This Guy's in Love with You by Herb Albert and the Tawana Brass Band.
No, that's fantastic song.
And this guy, Alex Murray, played it to me and said...
like that.
He said that his mum...
You should have said the Commodore's 3 times a lady.
I should have said that Michael Jackson one. But this guy played it to me, and he told me this great long story about how it had been the song his mum had played to his dad. They got together, blah blah blah. He played it to me. I fell in love, and I don't think I ever saw him again.
He dumped you the next day.
Heartbroken.
Yeah, Jason, what record reminds you of?
I have to say, guys not being in touch with their sort of feminine side. I think the 80s may have changed that. And I feel I am in touch with the feminine side of me. That doesn't mean I'm gay, which I've probably more than enough said on various occasions.
Yeah.
But
that must be a nightmare for you, having to say that over and over again and feel the responsibility of like...
That is a nightmare, yes.
Like you want to walk around with a placard.
Do you have to say it? Do you feel you have to?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I don't know why.
Because you feel like... No, but is it because you feel like people have just got that question in their head all the time when they're talking?
That's the media. Again, that is the media at its best.
It's like
when will you be able to stop that? When do you think you'll be able to say that?
It's like you said in your song. It doesnn't matter if you're gay or straight.
Yes.
As long as you can masturbate.
Exactly. Thank you very much.
So which is the one song?
Sure. What's the time?
Jason, just give us a song and we can get out of here.
Borderline. Madonna.
Borderline Madonna.
Yeah, total pop, total 80s, total virgin.
It's a very
Madonna.
sexy song.
Yeah, and I felt that it reminded me of this girl called Caroline Hudson, who I was with for a short time. She dumped me,
That'll do fine.
Okay,
Alex Murray All right, just time for me to thank my guests this evening. To Edwyn Collins, cheers.
Thank you.
Zoe Ball and Jason Donovan. I'll be back here next Wednesday night with another pop group therapy session, but now let's fast forward to the millennium hip-hop style. This raucous trio emerged from New York at the end of last year with a fantastic mutant funk of Funk Crusher Plus. Making their British television debut, this is Company Flow.